Okay, in this video we're going to learn how to create subroutines. And we're going to make these subroutines in such a way that they're accessible from any form. So we want to look back at form here, and there's some subroutines that it created for us, and these are pretty complex. Like this subroutine runs whenever you click on the button named Read Text Box. Now, this one is private, so that means this subroutine, or this sub, can only be accessed in Form 1 because it's private to Form 1. We want to make our ones in calculations public so they can be accessed from Form 1 or any other form we make. So I'm going to say public. We want it to be a subroutine, so we'll say sub. And then we want to give it a name, and we want to give it a name that's descriptive of what it does. So we want it to double number. So it's going to double whatever number is passed to it. Okay? Now we have to pass a number to it, so we're going to create some opening and closing parentheses. Now we don't have to put a parameter in here, but if we want to pass information to this subroutine double number, we have to have a parameter, which is what accepts the data and puts it in a variable. So what do we want to call this? We want to call this, let's call it num1. So we want to say num1, and we want it to be an integer type, as integer. Okay? Now you'll notice even though I created a new variable, I don't have to put the dim in front of this. And when you have something that's a parameter, the dim is assumed. It knows you're creating a new variable, so all you have to do is give it the name of the variable and what data type it's going to be. Okay, so we're going to take the data that gets passed to us, and we're going to change the value of num. So num1. So I want to say num1. This means the new value of num1 equals the old value of num1 times 2. So if we pass a 3, 3 is going to go into num1. Old value of num1, 3 times 2 is 6. And all that will go into the new value of num1. So num1 is now 6 after this line. I'm going to put a comment to explain that. So it sets num1 variable equal to the old value times 2. Alright? Next, we want to output this. Okay? We wouldn't have to, but I'm saying we want to output this in this subroutine. So we're going to say message box.show, and we want to output whatever is inside the variable num1. Okay? Now, we have to call this for it to work. So this isn't going to run by itself. This subroutine is only going to run if we call double number and pass it some sort of integer. So let's go back to Form 1. Alright, instead of showing the number, I'm going to call that subroutine. So I'm going to say double number, and then I got the parentheses again. And in this case, we call it an argument. When we pass it, we call it an argument. When we receive it, we call it a parameter. So let's pass it the variable numbers. Now it's not passing the variable itself. It's passing whatever the value is in here. So the value is 15 in here. It's passing the number 15 to double number. If the value in this variable is 20, it's not passing the variable numbers. It's passing the number 20 to the subroutine double number. Okay? So let's see what's going to happen. Let's run it. Okay, so what's going to happen? I'm going to type in 20. So it's going to create, when I click this button, it's going to create a new variable called numbers. It's going to grab whatever data is in here and put it in that numbers variable. Then it's going to pass the value of that variable, which in this case will be 20, to double number. Then let's look at what that does. Then double number is going to accept it, and it's going to put whatever value I passed it into a new variable called num1. Now we have to have passed it an integer. Since we declared num1 as an integer, it better be an integer that we pass to it. So now num1 will equal 20 that we pass to it. We're going to take the old value of num1, which is 20, times 2 is 40. So now num1 equals 40. And we're going to send the number, again, not the variable itself, but whatever value is inside the variable, which is 40. We're sending the number 40 to the show event of the message box. So it's a message box object, but we're calling the show event. So we're going to pass it, and it outputted 40, just like we would have expected it to. So there we go. You can see what happened there. Now a subroutine cannot return anything. It can do whatever we want, it can accept something, but it can't return anything. That's what functions are for, and we'll learn about that later.